afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Cassidy. I feel like my presentation is going to piggyback off of yours. But it's important to realize that society, as you all know, it is rapidly changing. The scientific civilization is changing at a very fast rate, and it is impacting our adolescents in a profound way. So in just over a decade, we've seen dramatic changes in how our adolescents think, how they feel, they connect with the world around them. At the same time, we have research showing us a growing mental health crisis. So what's happening here? To understand the crisis, we need to look at two powerful forces shaping our adolescence. It's the brain, how it grows, adapts, and responds, and the environment, how technology and society influence that growth. So adolescence is a critical period of transformation. Brain is rewiring itself, it's strengthening connections that support problem solving, emotional regulation, and decision making. But here's what's different today. The research is showing now that puberty now begins earlier. So one key factor is improved nutrition. A century ago, food scarcity delayed puberty, but today, abundant nutrition signals to the body that it's ready for reproduction earlier than ever before. So why does this matter? It means that earlier puberty means adolescents become highly sensitive to their surroundings at younger ages, especially to social information, which Cassidy touched upon. Yet the regions of the brain responsible for regulating emotions, processing information, and making sense of social dynamics are still developing. And as you know, today's environment is getting fast and faster, and it's demanding more than ever. So we're being, not only teens, but all of us, we're being flooded with digital content, peer influence, and social comparison. So between the ages of 10 and 19, the brain, again, is in this highly sensitive period, and this sets the stage for how adolescents interact with the world around them. So the internet, as you know, has transformed the environment. In 2023, the former US Surgeon General, Dr. Murthy, issued a special advisory on the epidemic of loneliness and isolation. And he cites research showing that even when we're physically together, devices just reduce attention, lowers conversational quality, deepens our feelings of disconnection. So if you look at all of us, I think all of us have a smartphone here, most of us, all of us. You might think it's just an object, but it has power. And what I mean by that is if you're ever in a waiting line or in a drive-through, watch your mind. Where does it go? It's different for everybody, but there's a power. Sometimes in mind, you're not even conscious. It goes, let me check my messages, even though I checked it 5 minutes earlier, right? So these objects have power. And so we're seeing, let's see here. Yes, this neurological mismatch. This is what Matt Richtel is saying, is the changing environment plus earlier puberty is leading to heightened sensitivity. And the data is showing us a lot. It's not just teens. I've been working with graduate students as well, and they tell me that they're almost constantly on the phone or on the digital device. If we look at the numbers between 2015 and 2019, antidepressant prescriptions for teens increased by 38% compared to just 12% for adults. And starting around 2012, researchers noticed a steep rise in depressive episodes among adolescents. So Jonathan Haidt asked, what changed so suddenly? Definitely smartphones, definitely social media. So here, we're seeing that it's just reshaping everything. And back in 2015, 1 in 14 said they were almost constantly online. And by 2022, that number nearly doubled to 46%. So here, the 4 major risks, definitely social comparison, right? Curated. How many of you use filters? Filters, yes. Images. We have cyberbullying. Right? Online harassment is intensifying emotional distress. Sleep, research is showing sleep disruption. Nighttime devices used interferes with the brain recovery and emotional balance. And then FOMO. It's not just with teens. I've worked with graduate students, our acupuncture students. We did a just even a 1-day digital detox, and that was number one thing, the fear of missing out. What are my friends doing, right? Just that 24 hours. So what's more concerning is this addiction that's happening. Salopaki and his researchers, they highlight the parallels between technological addictions and substance dependencies. And he says, these patterns share traits like tolerance, withdrawal, conflict, and relapse. So with all of this information that I'm giving you, is there hope? How many of you think there's hope? Yes, okay. Reluctantly, they're like, oh. So there is hope. There's different things going on right now in society. There's what's called the digital detox interventions that are happening. These are when, especially adolescents, are invited to structured breaks. It could be like a 1-week camp. Alonzi and his researchers found that participants who participated in this 1-week digital detox, they had lower levels of anxiety, depressive symptoms, and the students reported being more present and more connected. My colleagues and I are doing things a little bit differently. We're not doing a complete detox. What we're doing is that we want to empower the students. You're going to live with these devices. How do you regain agency over your device? How do you become the controller, the pilot of your own mind and not be enslaved by the material? So there's this shift from restriction to skill building, and this is what we call our digital wellness project. So we're giving them tools, and one of the top tools is mind training. Notice that I don't use mind practice. When you think of the word training, what comes to mind? Repetition. If anyone has been in the military or ever trained a dog or a pet, it requires repetition, consistency, and diligence. So one of the tools that we're using is called Maum. That's Korean for not just the mind, it's Korean for the mind and the heart. So it's called the Maum Diary. It's printed this year, okay? It's analog, so students, our participants, write in it. And it's not just time management, it's attention management. Students start to notice, where's your mind going? Where's your energy going? And how about your emotions? And we use what's called the PAR method. Plan, act, and reflect. So each night, students will write in their schedules, and I'll show an example in a moment, but the night before, they'll scan their day and say, how am I going to use my time tomorrow? And especially focusing on an item of mindfulness, because if you tell us, anybody, not just adolescents, be mindful, it's like, where do you even begin? You can't be mindful 24 hours. So instead, what we ask is choose one item that you want to place your mindfulness on, whether it be mindful eating, mindful speaking, going to classes 5 minutes before it starts. And that, what happens is once they start becoming mindful of that one item, that sense of self-awareness starts to ripple out to other activities. So they do that. So the reason why we do it night before is that so it's in your mind, you've done a scan. The next day you see whether you did it, how you used your time, how you actually used your time. And then the reflection, right? So this is what it looks like. So if you notice on the left side, that's what they do the night before. And they usually do their top priorities as well. But you say, well, how am I using my time tomorrow? The one on the column on the right side, you start to compare. That time I said I was going to be more mindful when I speak to my friend, but I wasn't. So it's a reflection of what was going on at that time, right? So students, when they do this, they start to see patterns. They start to see, when am I scrolling most? When does my stress spike? Or when does joy really emerge for me? What are those moments? So this is honing their self-awareness. But on the right-hand side, what's interesting, this is what's called, how are you using your body and mind? And you're focusing on exactly one situation that happened to you that day, right? And it could be something that came through your eyes, ears, nose, that either disturbed your mind, it somehow moved your mind in this. It could be positive or negative. And so this one helps you to just take a snapshot. This is the practice. Writing it down exactly as it happened, like as if you're taking a picture. No judgment. Exactly how. Now, I'm doing this practice too, and it's very difficult. Why? Because I want to self-edit. I didn't do anything wrong. It was that person, right? But this has helped me just to write it as it happened, Grace, and with no judgment. And so this one has showed me when I'm on automatic pilot, when I react from strong, charged emotions, when I was able to pause. And this has helped really our students to pause in the moment, to step back, right? To reframe the situation, to consider their impact. How is this impacting myself? How is it impacting the other? So it's gaining the freedom to respond. And I just want to share a journal entry. We do this not just with adolescents, but with graduate students. This was an acupuncture student, and this is their entry. When I made breakfast, I noticed my housemate had poured liquid from the remnants of a tuna salad all over the sink. He also left the dirty bowl, and both had turned into a crust with a foul odor overnight. I felt a visceral sense of disgust with the desire to gag. Judgment arose with the thought, did his parents never teach him to clean the sink after each use? I was frustrated, mainly because we had an agreement to wash our dishes promptly and avoid leaving things overnight. I felt a great sense of gender inequity with him, as a man being less diligent with housework. So here, the student, if you notice, just observing, acknowledging the feelings of disappointment and frustration, and he understood that this is normal to feel this way. Then, she paused and reminded herself. I paused and reminded myself that we have different upbringings, and that for me, living at home as a child was filled with shouting, abusive language, and neglect based on how well or unwell I cleaned. In forgiving him for his mistake due to ignorance, I'm extending an element of forgiveness that my child self would have needed. I reminded myself of all his efforts lately and his receptiveness to my request to take his hair from the drain after showering. There may be inequity in our household dynamic due to gendered socialization, but he is making an effort when I provide gentle feedback. So you notice here there was a pause, right? Allowed the author here to reframe their thoughts, learn from them, and vow to take action that would benefit both themselves and others. So this is not passive, because what she does next, she says, I have made a note to check in with him about managing dishes in our next housemate check-in. I cleaned the sink and bowl and continued my breakfast routine. Right? So these are powerful. And what's great is that our students, we get back together, and for those who want to share, they can share their entries. And what I've experienced when I do this sharing is that, oh my gosh, I am not alone, right? And then when you hear other people's stories, like, if I'm in that situation, maybe I could try that next time. So it's a teaching and a learning experience. And so here, what we're hoping to do is make meditation timeless and placeless by setting an intention the night before so that we can be a little bit more mindful during the day. That at the night, we can actually reflect, how was I using my attention? And bringing in some self-compassion as well, because we make mistakes. No one leaves this world without making mistakes. So if I was a little bit less mindful with a particular person, instead of being hard on myself, I tell myself, well, tomorrow I'm going to do better, right? So this is just one example this is 8-year-old Yewon, who I got permission. She said, you can post this up. And hers was, her top priorities: stay safe, eat, say thank you, or 감사합니다 in Korean. And if you notice, she was very diligent. Not all students does what she does, but she wrote it out, and she actually she did a comparison throughout the day. Her sensory conditions, she says, my sensory conditions were happy because I ate so much yummy food today. I learned that the more I eat, the more I grow. And she learned that sometimes you need breaks, and what I mean by that is taking breaks might help you not be so stressed. And her awakening is, a person might be small, but that does not mean the person is not strong or confident. And she's just grateful for being here today, and food and water. So we're hoping that we're still working on this curriculum. I'm going to be collaborating with some of you. This is great. To really help these students have small awakening, big shifts, and so that they can live well with their digital devices, and really, help cultivate the next generation to move towards balance, well-being, and freedom in the digital age. Thank you.